Flying Joe. Know all there is to know, from masterpieces to deep fried tacos. And if the movie sucks, you might hear them say, there's no telling where the guys will take you. Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already warned you. Better watch out, it's gonna ruin the plot. Real spoilers. Real spoilers. Real spoilers.
Broadcasting from the lush but not lavish studios located in the basement of the O'Keefe Institute for Advanced Film Snarkitude, this is Real Spoilers, episode 667, Hudson Hawk 2, Red Notice.
I'd rather watch Hudson Hawk.
So, yeah, this movie is like it fell through a wormhole in time from 1995.
That's a great call.
Hot take. I was kind of okay with it.
God bless it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, but is that necessarily a bad thing to just have a throwback,
Yeah,
buddy,
like
Sure, if it was good.
heist movie type?
If it was entertaining at all.
Yeah, I'm kind of here for it. Hotter take.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this more than Jungle Cruise.
This is better than Jungle
I
Cruise,
can-
199%.
Okay. That's fine.
I enjoyed this
I'm not
way.
going to argue
Jungle
that
Cruise,
point.
I was not a fan.
Like
of.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't have like any ill will or bad feelings for Jungle Cruise.
No, I didn't hate Jungle Cruise.
Yeah.
It was just like I feel like the tongue-in-cheek attitude that this film had is what Jungle Cruise
Because
should
The
have.
Rock's
sure.
charismatic in this movie.
Is he?
In Jungle Cruise,
Yeah.
he does that tough guy, I can't crack a smile thing.
Right.
And that was what threw me off the whole time. Is I'm like, this just doesn't work.
Yeah, but I don't get all the bad reviews for this movie because I'm like, well, what'd you think it was going to be?
Sometimes I think it's okay to just have some content.
Yeah.
You know, like the thing is, you're not paying for this. I mean, everyone's got Netflix.
Yes, I
Everyone's
am.
got
Yeah.
I'm paying for
So,
it.
but
It's
$10.
issued to you if you live in the suburbs.
exactly. So it's like, you've got Netflix and you aren't paying $15 a ticket plus $15 per person concessions. It's like, you know what? If you just want to throw something on, have some action, have some laughs.
Hey, when I was a kid, made-for-TV movies were things like Whatever Happened to Rosemary's Baby.
Right, exactly. Look, and now this is the biggest budget Netflix
So you
movie.
kids today can shut your effing pie
You don't even know
holes.
how good you got it.
Yeah.
It is hilarious when you think about the
Whatever
difference
happened to
in
Rosemary's
the
Baby.
TV movie to a straight to streaming movie and the budgets. It's like,
Yeah.
holy
The one that we
crap.
had
I
to
still
like,
can't figure out the business model.
we had to dig through on YouTube to find so
Yeah.
we could do an episode on it.
They were trying to talk about didn't fall through a wormhole. It was shoved down a wormhole.
right.
They're like,
Right.
no one
Does
should
this thing
ever
have tracking on it? Because holy
Yeah. So I guess let's go around the table and everyone can introduce themselves.
this is Joe.
This is Kevin.
And this is Tom. Quick shameless plugs. Don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Wherever you find a podcast, you can find us. While you're there, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode, and maybe leave us a review if you would be so kind. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group. People who were kind enough to share an episode this week: Brent Smith, David Rojas, Gabriel Lugo, Ralph Tribble, Heather Sachs, Tammy Sherman Powers, Geek to Me Radio, Binge Movies, Ronnie Castle, Matt Neglia, Spoiler Piece Theater, Ryan Terry from the Forza Crowd podcast, In Session Film, Colby Mack, Mike, and Oscar, Chris Williams, Invasion of the Remake, and Feelin' Film. So thank you very much for sharing an episode. And you can also check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Real Spoilers, where for $5 a month you get all sorts of bonus content and you help us out, and we like you extra.
I might have an idea
Uh-oh.
for another Patreon series.
Oh boy.
We'll see.
All Christmas
Christmas
movies?
No,
Christmas horror movies?
No, I mean,
Now
I could do that
He's
one
like,
for
"Ooh,
sure.
now you
It's
have
gonna
my
be called
attention.
Jingle Joe's Bells.
Yeah, I mean, hey, no kink shaming.
No, I didn't say. That's why I want to name it that. I wasn't against it.
Yeah, I will shame you for that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
that's fair.
So anyway, Red Notice.
Man,
So here's where I was like, I'm on board with this movie.
yeah.
Right? I was like, it did a thing, and I was like,
Because
ugh.
they said, "Where's the MacGuffin?"
Well, no, it was way before
Okay.
that. Although I did like that.
That was,
I was gonna say-
yeah. That was in the Indiana
The Indiana Jones 4 warehouse
Right,
or
yeah,
whatever,
right.
So
That's why I said to Katie, I go, "That's Indiana Jones warehouse." Are they going to find Shia LaBeouf's going to pop out of a crate?
So I thought the opening scene was solid, not the exposition scene about the eggs, but who cares?
I like how they did that. They did the exposition as like one of those History Channel like unsolved mysteries type.
Yeah.
I actually really
yeah,
like how
yeah,
they
yeah.
framed it. I'm like, that's clever.
That was fine. Yeah, I
It
agree
seemed
with
like
that.
a real show. Cleopatra's eggs. Given to
the
her by
voice guy
Mark
sounded
Antony.
like the guy,
Sounded-
and yeah.
But
I like the chase through
the museum.
the museum and all the thing on the scaffolding. There was
That's
some
a
good
big-
and
that's
there
a-
was some good camera work there.
big
Was the way it
action
was,
scene, yeah.
but like the Rock gets out, he jumps in a car to chase after Ryan Reynolds, and they start playing Sabotage by the
Sabotage.
Beastie Boys, and I was like, oh, F this. I'm so no. And because I'm just like, that song's too on the nose. It's been overused. I'm like,
Right.
and then he immediately gets sideswiped by another car, and the song stops, and it's like,
And he loses the
there's
guy.
no chase scene.
Right.
And I was
I
just
did really like that.
and I was just like, oh, we're doing that? Okay. I could be down.
I was cool with that.
I could be okay with
because
this.
we've seen it all.
Yeah.
You have to subvert expectations at some point because we as audiences, and especially film critics, when you see so many movies, but the audiences have seen it all. It's like with superhero movies, you got to do something different, or else it's going to be another beam of light in the sky.
Yeah.
And this movie continually does that, where they do kind of pull the rug out from under the characters, keeps you guessing. You get that little smirk, like, "Oh, that was clever," you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't what I expected, and I do think there are moments like that set it apart from just your schlock of a action.
Yeah, I will say their big twist at the end I saw coming like it was on a highway in Kansas.
Yeah.
I didn't
but
see
they
that.
laid it out
But
for
I
you.
didn't see it.
well, and I think the only reason you didn't see it is just because you didn't think the movie was even trying to do something
I
like
did
that.
not
You know what I mean? Like sometimes
Yes.
movies sneak it by you because you're just like, no one put that much
Yeah.
thought into this movie.
No,
And
me and Katie
but
were just vegging out watching it, and
Yeah.
we were both like, "Oh, like we didn't."
So
I
that's
was
an-
not
okay.
looking for a
I
twist
just-
in this movie.
I just figured that there was no
Yeah.
way that this wasn't moving towards a team up, and that it was
Yeah.
a
Well, I
con
knew
movie, yeah.
I knew it was leaning, of course, because I'm like, well,
That's a
they're all
given.
going to
Yeah,
have
right.
to work together, at the
Yeah.
of course. But I did not see it coming like that.
So, when did The Rock get divorced? And that's I'm asking this
I don't know.
seriously.
I have
because
no, I didn't-
has
I didn't
he
even know
ever
was
7 years
married.
ago or something.
has he ever kissed a woman in a film?
He just didn't Jungle Cruise and had 0% charisma. That was the
Who,
first.
did he kiss Emily Blunt? in that
Yeah,
movie?
and we were like,
Oh.
"Wow, that was like watching two rocks just roll down the hill together."
I just
like,
it's so like it catches me off guard. Like I've completely forgot that it happened in Jungle Cruise, and when it happens in this movie, I was like, "Huh, I don't think that's ever happened before."
You
because
just
like,
forgot about the movie earlier this year where
That's
we
now on
had
Disney
the
Plus.
same
Yeah, right, right, right.
conversation.
But like it was so
Yeah.
weird to see him do that because I don't think
Because for 20 years he didn't.
he
and it's
never
like-
did. He
Which
never.
I
But
kind
he
of
was in
appreciated,
movies
though.
with
Sure.
like the gal from Sin City.
Mhm.
And so like he's had like very attractive female co-stars, and it's never
Denzel
he's never.
Washington took heat for this for a while because
It's like he was the actor that wouldn't kiss
he
a
would
white woman.
he would get all these. I mean, he's an A-list actor.
Yeah.
He could open a movie. He was in all these big, huge movies. They would pair him up against white women as but they would never kiss, or they would have some sort of reason why they weren't romantic. When in any other movie like that, they would have it would have been a romantic interest. And so, and I think is it Pelican Brief?
That's
It's
what-
him and Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
And I believe it was Julia Roberts who was like, "I will only do this movie if you kiss me." She's just like, "We're not," and I think that's what happened, and because she was like, "We're not doing that."
Interesting.
I don't know if some of that is a vestige of that.
Well, I was just thinking like maybe his wife was
Well,
like,
I definitely don't think that's
no.
a thing in 2021.
You know what I mean? Like
I don't
was-
think I don't think that's a thing anymore.
No, that definitely isn't.
But I didn't know. But he's been making movies since the 90s.
Yeah, but
so
I'm wondering if like at one point his wife,
Yeah.
who is a producer on, she's a producer on everything he does.
right.
His ex-wife, I guess.
Yeah.
Is she still a producer?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's his
It's-
manager.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
she-
I didn't know. Like if that stopped. That.
No,
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 I know
she's-
she's still his manager.
still his
yeah.
manager.
No. So good
Danny
for them.
Garcia is her name. Like, I just wonder if there was a point where she was like, absolutely not. Like, you will not kiss a woman.
Because she made him a star. She's the one responsible.
What do you mean by that?
Well, she is the one that
Helped him
navigated
navigate
all the acting.
Okay.
She brought him from WWF to Hollywood. Like, she was there
I
along.
mean, he's the first guy to make. He's the most. I know
He-
Hulk Hogan tried,
I totally agree with
but
you.
he's
he
the first
never
guy to
got
make
there.
it.
Yeah,
He-
And-
I think Hulk Hogan, ding ding, was
I
for
have
his
no-
time.
I have no one to blame but myself.
You really don't.
Yeah.
For his time, was the like you say wrestling, that's the first person
Sure.
you think of, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And now I'm not entirely sure that's true.
But when you say
anymore.
Hollywood, it wasn't. But when you say Hollywood now, it's The Rock.
It's
Yeah.
even wrestling, right? Like I don't even wrestling is such a weird thing now where like if you say that, I wonder if like
Unlike when wrestling used to be normal and
when it was more commonplace though, right? Like 97 to 2001, like that was they're on the cover of TV Guide and
yeah,
they're
I mean there were
hosting SNL, like it was crazy what that
Yeah.
company was doing. So like I don't know that like when
that
you
was
say
because that was when The Rock was around.
that's correct.
Yeah.
And Stone Cold Steve Austin, like who still holds the record for the amount of T-shirts that guy was producing is dumb, is stupid. But like when you say wrestling, now I don't know if you were to say to an 18-year-old, what do you know about who do you know who's a wrestler?
I don't think there's any stars like that.
There aren't.
Because I mean, I've
And he has distanced himself from that product, he being The Rock, from that wrestling product.
sure.
Like it's not even a thing anymore.
So anyway, his wife was the one. She has been his manager since then, and she's the one that negotiated all his movie deals and everything. So she's very much responsible for the business aspect. And I think he's really smart that they got divorced, differences, whatever. And he wasn't like, okay, here, just let's split the money, whatever. He's like, how about you keep doing this? We're making a lot of money.
Yeah.
And
If it ain't broke.
we got a
Yeah.
very successful thing going on here. It's good for both of us. Like, let's keep doing this. And, that's cool. They were able to
Absolutely.
split, but then also work together. And, obviously they're still very close because they're.
They have a child.
Yeah. So anyway, but I think that his stardom is amazing that
It's
where-
unparalleled.
Where he's come from.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot have tried. I guess John Cena's.
I don't think a lot have tried. Like I don't think that. I think
You don't
it's-
think a lot have
I
tried?
don't.
Batista?
But he's still pretty.
I know.
Batista is not a leading man. I'm sorry.
Batista?
I think he's a
James
I think
Gunn.
he's a better actor.
John
than The
Cena?
Rock.
James Gunn?
That's true. That's fair.
Peacemaker now. I mean, you haven't
Yeah.
seen a lot of John Cena sequels, and now he's got his own series. Like
Well,
James Gunn knows how to use.
They did sequels of a John Cena movie.
No,
he's
I'm
just
talking
not
about
in
John.
them.
Exactly. James Gunn. I mean, you got to give this guy credit. He knows how to take an actor,
Yeah.
like a Batista, like a John Cena, and put them in a perfect role for them and utilize them to their fullest.
I think some of the things like on that note is that people kind of don't think about is you don't have to be the guy above the title.
Yeah.
Right? Like Batista's figured this out where he is really good in the things that he's in, and he is able to be like the fourth guy or the third guy.
But I think he wants to be. He turned down
yeah.
Suicide Squad to have his own Army of the Dead to be above the title.
Is that right?
Yeah. Peacemaker, I think, was supposed to be Batista.
Oh, I thought he was supposed to be Bane. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Well, either
I gotta tell
way, he
you
turned
that-
down Peacemaker for Army of the Dead to be
Okay.
a leading man. Like, it was a career move.
I mean, and that's fine.
I think that puts his quote up or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's for
I
his
guess.
career.
You mean you can ask for more money? Once,
Yeah, I mean, if you're a leading man, you get different money, and then your next one, it's like, well, yeah, I'm a leading man.
You
this
get
is my
different control. You probably get a producer's
I guess that's
credit.
probably
You
true.
get,
But it's like no hard feelings. We'll be back for Guardians 3. It's not. I mean, James
And
Gunn
he's
understood
done,
it.
He's donezo. Well, he says he's done.
Well.
We'll see. So we get to Guardians.
But
4.
yeah, I think it's really interesting to watch The Rock's career trajectory, though, because he was in a lot of movies that weren't great, and he did the kid movie thing, and then he
yeah,
did
he
the
tried to go
Rundown.
that route. I think the rundown is great, by
Yeah.
the way.
Rundown's
Rundown's
cool.
amazing.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
The Rundown and Be Cool.
yeah,
I
I've
don't
never
think
seen
Be Cool. I don't like Be Cool, but
He was great. in
He
Be
was
Cool.
good in it.
That's what I like.
yeah. I
Because he
agree with
acted, you were like, that was good.
Yeah.
I think where he's been so smart is his ability to pivot. Like, because he tried the kid movie thing. He's like, oh, I'll do this.
I'll do
kid-
the Arnold thing.
Yeah, and then it was like, yeah, that's not working. Okay, instead of just like letting that be the end,
Yeah.
and then now he's back to wrestling or he's doing crappy TV movies or whatever. He's just like, okay, I'll do another thing. I think also he's smart in that, is that he definitely thinks long term, and he was okay with like, I will take a smaller role in a bigger picture.
Oh, sure.
And use that as leverage to level up.
So like
where
like
I
Fast
think
and Furious.
what's that?
You mean like Fast and Furious?
Yeah, or wasn't he in one of the G.I. Joe movies?
He was in the second one.
Yeah,
It was
like-
Roadblock.
Yeah, and so like he didn't let his ego get in the way of like I need to be the star of the movie. He saw the benefit of like, well, if this movie's a big hit and I have a decent sized part in it, then that raises my stock overall.
I think that's where we are now.
That's exactly what Batista and
Yeah.
John Cena have done, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Batista's like, I'm in a Marvel movie, right? But he's one of the other guys, but he's there.
But he also got to work with Denis Villeneuve, right?
Right.
In Blade
Well,
Runner.
and everybody
he
now,
did,
yeah.
Which Bond was he in? Spectre?
So he worked with
Sam Mendes?
was it not Spectre? Was he in Spectre? That was the last one before the one that just came out. Was it Skyfall or Spectre?
I think it might have been Skyfall.
It is,
I think it
no,
was Skyfall.
Skyfall. There's no Skyfall is, it is Spectre because that's
Oh,
the
it is,
introduction
okay.
of Blofeld, right?
Oh well, you can't win them all, I guess.
He's like but he's in a Sam Mendes Bond movie as like the original henchman. That's who he is in that movie. He's like he's like the first henchman in the Daniel Craig movies. One of the problems in the WWE for a long time.
We're still on
no.
wrestling? Oh, my Lord.
One of the problems is that once Hulk Hogan or John Cena.
This is like one of those brownie pans that has like 9 corner pieces.
No, this is the last one.
Okay.
They got to a point where like those guys were the top guys in the business at that time, and nobody could beat them, right? Like so they were just feeding people,
Yeah.
to keep them on top, and the fans got tired of it, right? They started booing them because they're like, well, they're just going to win anyway. This is boring.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like The Rock has reached that point in Hollywood. Like we've kind of had this thing with Vin Diesel, and that was on Vin Diesel, right? Let's not pretend that wasn't Vin Diesel trying to be bigger than who he was at that point.
Well, yeah, certainly The Rock wasn't starting
No,
stuff.
but I feel like we talked about this with Hobbs and Shaw, where it was like it was so like down to the minute of jokes that no one guy would get like a leg up, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think Ryan Reynolds is more charismatic than The Rock most
It's
of the
different
time.
kind of charisma,
correct.
but yeah.
There's
And-
smart ass charisma, and then there's like
Badass action
big
star,
tough guy charisma.
right?
Yeah.
And I feel like in this one,
The Rock can do both, but Ryan Reynolds can do the smartass version better.
yes,
Yeah, for
yes.
sure.
Yeah.
He felt really toned down in this to me. Like this did not feel like the Ryan Reynolds we have seen in the last 10 years. Deadpool's like 10 years old, right?
I don't know. I think
I
think
thought
his
it was.
character
You
is
think
a
so?
little
I just-
cooler because he's like supposed to be the world's second best art thief. But I still think he was the same.
I thought he was very Ryan Reynolds-y. I thought this was the most Ryan Reynolds we've seen Ryan Reynolds be outside of a Deadpool movie.
Really.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was
interesting.
very Ryan Reynoldsy, but I just think he was trying to play it more cool. Like there were moments in this where, I mean, he was definitely smarmy and smartass, but he also was like, "Yeah, I've stolen all this stuff," and like he had this like, I guess confidence is a good way to literal
yeah.
confidence.
As I'm talking about it, this felt more like the character from Smokin' Aces than it did Deadpool or.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? Like that in Smokin' Aces. If you haven't seen it, what's wrong with you? Like it's an amazing action flick. He does have like the smarminess with Ray Liotta, but he's also got like that badass action star. Like it's an interesting line that he walks in that movie, and this feels kind of similar to that. But it just for whatever reason, to me, it felt like everyone was sleepwalking in this movie.
See,
It felt like nobody wanted to be there. And it just did not like everything was so toned down and muted. I didn't like.
I didn't get
interesting.
that
Yeah,
at
I
all.
didn't either.
It's so weird.
to me, it
Yeah.
seemed like they were all having fun. I'm like, this is big dumb fun. That's
This
what
reminded
is.
me of like Burt Reynolds movies
Yeah.
in the 80s.
Interesting.
Like almost like, I know it doesn't have like the nonstop cameos of a Cannonball Run, but like
Right.
they felt like it seemed
Yeah.
like they were having fun. Is this a great movie? No. But like they seemed to be having fun. I think Gal Gadot was on set for about 3 days. but beyond that, I felt like the two of them were enjoying themselves.
I think the two of them together should be
yeah.
perfect.
And I'm sure you're going to get more of these.
Oh well, they're
They said-
together for the Hobbs and Shaw stuff.
Well, and they said that this was the biggest single day launch of a Netflix movie.
How do they-
Everyone
how do
is.
they
Every
know?
movie is the biggest.
Yeah.
How like
How do they know? It's all data. That's all
Yeah.
Netflix
It's
is.
nothing
data.
but data. But I
You're an
believe it.
account,
Like
you know?
this is the biggest, I think, star power that they've had in one of their movies.
yeah, that's probably true because I know Ryan Reynolds did that. What was that?
I mean,
Michael Bay movie.
No, I don't
Like,
even want to talk about that.
Under
That was
6
horrible.
or whatever the hell
Whatever.
it's called.
But
Six
no,
Underground.
Six
but
Underground.
this
Sneaker
is
Pimps?
three.
Sneaker Pimps. I
this-
know. I was thinking the same thing.
This is 3 huge stars, though. I
Right.
mean, The Rock is the #1 star. Ryan Reynolds is pretty darn
It's
popular.
pretty damn close.
I would
mean,
say he's top
and then
5.
Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, these are 3 huge stars. It's Netflix's highest budgeted film ever. And, I mean, a lot of people are going to watch it when you've got this kind of star power and you can just flip on the TV.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you roll the dice on that?
And I just think it was big dumb fun. Like, I watched it. I didn't love it, but I definitely didn't hate it. I was like, this was an entertaining movie. I don't really want to ever watch it again, but I enjoyed it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it entertained me, and that's all I'm looking for when I'm watching an action movie like
I'm
this.
usually right there with you.
Yeah.
Right? And then that's usually how I am about most things. I'm like, hey, man, did I fall asleep when I watched it? No? That's a win, I guess. You know?
I will say I watched this so I could review it on Friday, so I couldn't watch it until Friday.
Oh, sure.
And so I watched it on my laptop at work, which is the preferred method for reviewing films.
Sure.
And
I know, for Dune especially. That's how
yes.
they
Well,
ask you
you
to.
watched it on your Apple Watch.
yes.
Yeah, right.
But I will say it kept holding my interest. I kept
Yeah.
like a lot of times I try that and I'm just like, I'm not even watching this movie.
Yeah, right.
I gotta
right.
rewatch this later. And this one I was like, it totally held my interest.
Yeah.
Like I didn't get distracted, so that
No,
counts
that's
for
fair.
something.
I definitely wasn't distracted.
Yeah.
I never looked at my phone.
So I really liked the opening scene with the
It was good.
the chase through the scaffolding. I'm like, okay, like that's
It's interesting
different.
going
We haven't
vertical
seen that before.
in a
yeah.
very contained area.
Yeah, and the way he kept like taking out pieces of scaffolding
Yeah.
to fight them, and
So we should say, Mark Antony gave Cleopatra 3 eggs. She was buried with them. Whenever they, I guess, exhumed the casket or whatever, to find these artifacts, they found 2, but so one
she
disappeared.
ovulated.
Yeah.
That's the way that works.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So one went to a museum, one went to a rich guy, and one is mysteriously gone. And so they're at this museum. Nathan Booth, the world's self-proclaimed best art thief, he's really the second best, is trying to steal the egg. And so a chase ensues. You've got FBI profiler who is in Rome to try to track this guy down. He's warning them that he's going to be there next. And that's where this chase ensues. The Rock is trying to get the egg that Nathan Booth, Ryan Reynolds' character, has stolen. And there's this just really good through the museum, destroying things. I like how he's like, Ryan Reynolds is pushing priceless artifacts, and The Rock has to kind of catch
Right.
them or dodge them or whatever. Because if you think about it, it's like, yeah, I'm trying to track down this egg, but also like if I'm letting other priceless things get destroyed, what's the point? You're just swapping them out.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right,
So
right.
it's always fun when it's like, oh, got to be careful there, but got to.
There is the good. I like the line when they finally end up face to face at the top of that scaffolding, and Ryan Reynolds kind of makes the joke about how many cows did you have to skin to get that jacket? Like that's a nice jacket.
It's a statement piece.
Two things. Number one, yeah, that jacket's a statement piece. There's a cow somewhere that says totally worth it. Number two, how do I know that you're a cop? Show me your
Yeah.
badge.
He's
And
like,
he's like,
"No,
I don't
I
have to show
don't
you a
have to."
badge. I've got a gun. So the other thing I like too is that it's all right there when you think about it.
Yeah.
The twist of this movie is all right there.
Yeah.
And I like it when a movie's clever enough to literally show you and tell you.
Right.
And it's like, well, yeah, we never really do have any proof that he's a cop.
Well,
He
we-
literally
we-
shows up and he's like, I'm a cop, and you never see a proof of it.
And we
Yeah.
even get the other Interpol gal who's just like, I called the office and they don't even know who you are. He was like, right, deep cover. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like I looked for your papers. There's no papers.
Yeah.
He's like, weird. I don't know why that would be like that.
So, spoilers, he's not a cop, but
No.
he's not an FBI profiler.
Yeah.
But he never shows any proof. He just shows up to everyone and says, I mean, he looks like The Rock.
Right,
He
right.
seems, he's confident. He's in charge. And it's like,
He knows things.
yeah.
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 It's he does.
But the whole time, Nathan Booth's like, how do I know you're a cop? And all this. And it's like, yeah, that's actually a very good point.
yeah, you nailed it right on the head.
Yeah. And I like how it's like, this is kind of funny is that so they're up on the scaffolding or whatever, they fought through all the stuff, and there's this big window, and it looks like Nathan Booth is about to escape and jump through the window himself, and then The Rock tackles him through the window. I'm like, it was just a funny solution to it. It's
Well, and I was
he's
like,
about
well,
to-
that's a stained glass window. I'm like, that was
That was
probably
not
an
cheap.
artifact.
I'm sure, exactly. I'm sure it is. But I just thought it was funny where he's like, oh no, he's about to jump through that window. I'm going to tackle him through it.
Right.
But there's a lot of those big action set pieces like that are just bombastic and ridiculous. And
I think
that's
some
why-
of them were really good.
Yeah.
And I think the fight choreography was atrocious.
Oh, really?
Like the camera shots where it's just like, well, that doesn't even look like when The Rock's throwing a punch. It's like this guy knows how to throw a punch. Just let him do it. Like the way the camera moved, it's like, well, that you can tell that was a came
I don't
nowhere
know.
near the guy.
To me, there was something about this to where, and maybe it was because I just wasn't invested in it. Like, of course, I didn't watch the trailers, but like, I wasn't excited for this movie. I didn't care this movie was coming. The biggest Netflix movie I'm like, okay, whatever. And it's like I wasn't invested enough to maybe really care that those things weren't perfect because I wasn't expecting this to be any type of a important film or I mean,
it's like last week I felt like I held Eternals to a higher standard because I expect more from those.
Sure.
I didn't and again that scene with Sabotage to me was so important for setting the tone because I like at that point I was just like, I don't know what we're doing. That first scene was like relatively entertaining. Like I'm not, but when I think they're going down one road and they pulled that rug out from under me, I was like, thank God.
Right.
And it got me on board with this movie in a way that I don't think I would have been otherwise.
It's hard to do. Like I said, we've seen so many movies, and we're watching at least one a week, and usually it's multiple. And to give you something like that in a movie that it seems like okay, it's like a buddy cop movie, it's a heist movie. There's all these elements to where this is just a mishmash of those type of elements. But what are you going to do to hook us? And you've got the star power, but still, like we've seen a lot of movies with star power. We've seen Ocean's movies that are heist movies with lots of charisma and talent and everything. And so, I think the camera work was good. The action was good. Like that opening scene after they do the exposition, the Rock gets out of the car and there's this tracking shot that follows him out of the car and into the museum. I'm like, it's a pretty slick looking movie, actually.
Yeah.
Do we know who this guy is, who this director is? Like, is he one of the Rock's guys?
We do.
Like Chris.
It's his ex-wife's new husband.
Touche.
Like Chris McQuarrie is like Tom Cruise's guy.
Yeah. Well, this isn't the Jungle Cruise guy though, so it's not because he's the guy that's done. Well,
is it the Jungle Cruise guy?
Wait a minute. Hold on, because maybe he is. You might be right. No, I didn't think he was okay, but he is a rock guy. You're right.
Okay.
He is a rock guy. He has done Skyscraper. Central Intelligence with Kevin Hart.
Those are both solid.
Yeah.
We're the Millers, a movie that came up last week.
No, what?
Yeah, because Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
That
just came up last
yes,
week.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I thought you said came out.
I thought
last
you said
week.
came
out.
out.
No,
Yeah,
came up.
I thought you said it came out.
I was like, no,
what?
it didn't. Is there a remake already?
So we were just talking about.
So he's got a really solid.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking. Oh, Dodgeball.
Oh,
what?
Man, those first two are weird. Like those first two were straight up like.
Well, wow. Well, he's got a cult classic under his belt there. I didn't realize he did Dodgeball.
Yeah.
Is Dodgeball a cult classic?
I mean,
I think people. You can
I
dodge
love
a ball,
that
you can
movie.
dodge a wrench. I would argue
that's
the cult part of it. I think it's just people and
I dig it.
But I mean, that's like I'm not saying like that was a box office juggernaut, but I think that's one of those beloved home video.
Yeah.
When I say cult
so
classic,
good.
I mean like a home video classic, Anchorman, one of those kind of things. But yeah, so I mean, and there's stuff in between, but yeah, those are the big ones. The guy,
I think he's competent. He's a fine director. I think.
Has anyone seen this TV show? He directed 4 episodes of Ryan Hansen Solves Crimes on television. It's a YouTube.
I was like,
I've never heard of it.
Yeah,
YouTube Red show.
Yeah, I think he's a fine director. I thought some of the CG wasn't, but I can attribute that to Netflix. Like Netflix movies just do have a look. They just do.
But you're probably the only one that's ever said that though, because usually people talk about Netflix movies being the streaming generic content look.
That's what I mean. I think Netflix movie, like if you were to show.
Oh, I thought you said it looks slick. Like we were saying, it was slick looking.
No,
you're saying it's not.
I'm saying it's not.
Oh,
I think there are certain.
a lot of people say it's streaming.
It's
is
very
flat.
very flat.
That's interesting.
I think some of it worked. Like I think that scene on the scaffolding worked. I thought the scene, like inside the jail, worked for the most part until they get outside the jail. Then I was like, this is terrible. But yeah, I do think it looks, for whatever reason, and I don't know why.
Do you think this is psychological? Because this movie is a big $200 million big budget movie. This was on the big screen, I don't think that if you said, "Hey Joe, there's this new movie with The Rock and Gal Gadot and Ryan Reynolds," and you watch it on the big screen, car chases, explosions, and fights, and all this, and you watch it on the big screen, I don't think you would ever go, that looks like a Netflix movie and it's flat. Like, I just think it's psychological.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
I think it is, and I tried to see this movie at the theater because it's in theaters, and it's just the show times didn't work for me, and so because it was weird, it was showing at odd times, and it wasn't showing all day. Like I was off on Thursday because of Veterans Day.
It was only in a few theaters.
Yeah,
it was a small release. They do that. I think my guess is The Rock wants Oscar to submit for Oscar consideration for like special effects and stuff.
Yeah.
He's a producer. It's his $7 and all this stuff.
Right.
I think he wants that prestige of, because if he can sneak one of his things in there,
Yeah.
I mean, if he can be up there, then it's an Oscar nominated film. Then he gets that in his production. He's so strategic with the business.
Yeah.
And I think it's smart. I'm not knocking him for it. I'm like,
Yeah, I was gonna see it on when I was off work, but like the first showing was until like 2:30 in the afternoon or something. It was really odd that I was just like,
weird.
Why? And other movies were playing earlier in the day, so I don't know what that was about. But
I think this would work well on the big screen.
I think it would too. Yeah, like, but I agree. I think that like people just approach streaming exclusive movies with a different mindset, and it really has to be next level to impress them in the same way.
think what was that Tom Holland one that we watched? What was that? Cherry?
Yeah, that was just awful.
With the directors of the biggest movie of all time.
What?
From the directors of the biggest movie of all
right,
time.
right.
But you know what I mean? Like, but the
that
pedigrees-
didn't look flat to me. I remember that not looking. I mean, like it was an awful movie, but I don't remember like
But it's not
visually it wasn't
very effects.
I guess that's
either.
true.
It's,
It is
there was
It's
really
an art house
only
movie.
It was
Yeah.
really only the war scene that
Yeah.
which is like 5 minutes of the movie.
But
That's
this is
fair.
the thing you have to consider, though, is so you have directors making these streaming movies. They're throwing all the money at them. They've got big pedigrees, big stars, big budgets. I mean, what's the difference other than where it's released? They're not saying, oh, this is a Netflix movie, go grab a Sony Handycam and make it. Like,
Right.
Yeah, I guess,
why? I think the thing that people see, and I'm not trying to like say you're wrong with your thought. I'm just trying to figure it out because they're making them with the same ingredients. How could they really be that different other than you see that logo, you watch it on your TV, and you just say, oh, that's a
well, I mean,
Netflix.
The Irishman didn't look that way.
Yeah, exactly. That's why.
Yeah.
But then you like, oh, well, it's Scorsese, so I think you don't even think that. But
Maybe.
there's got to be
And
something.
I saw that in a theater, so like
Oh.
I
Yeah.
You don't have that argument.
I don't.
All right.
But like I saw the Sopranos movie in a theater,
Yeah.
and it looked like a movie to
Kong
me.
versus Godzilla didn't look flat.
Well, those are different. They're like,
but
those are
I also wonder if
theatrical
there is still the psychology to play, right? Because that wasn't intended to be a for streaming movie.
That's what I mean. Like
Oh.
they just sold their movies to streaming to boost the
streaming.
streaming, but that's not a streaming. But that's what I mean is this movie is big. It's got the actors. It's got a director of a lot of theatrical action movies. It's like I think he's probably enlisting the same camera people and crew. I bet he uses the same people.
Yeah. And if Netflix
So-
is willing to pay the same amount that they would pay, that Universal would pay to make it, that's fair.
Whatever, $250 million or whatever it is. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just think there's something interesting there. I mean, you feel how you feel, but it's weird to me that so many people go, "Oh, streaming looks flat," and it's like, but what's the difference between this movie and?
It is interesting to think like when I look at the Disney Plus like Marvel stuff,
Yeah,
like I never thought that looked flat. That's not true. There were parts of Winter Soldier I was like, ugh, it did not
like
look.
Falcon and
Winter,
yeah.
Captain America, and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
'Cause
I
he's
think
not-
that show kind of felt like a Civil War. Like they used the look, like the color palette, maybe
They
it was
did.
a little more muted.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
then
yeah.
Civil War didn't feel like that. That was
No.
just I don't know. It's weird. There's so many different ingredients and things. But yeah, I thought the movie looked good. I thought the action was good. And again, it held my attention. I thought it was clever, more clever than it had any right to be. I did not expect.
I would be interested to know how much of the Ryan Reynolds stuff was on the page and how much of that they just let him punch up on the fly.
Apparently, he improv'd the Vin Diesel joke.
Oh, did he?
Oh, did he
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
That was a good joke.
Yeah, Vin Diesel's auditions for Cats. It's
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
And The Rock let that stay in.
I
Yeah.
guess
for some reason, I don't know.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
I like The Rock said I think The Rock in an interview said there were like 3 Vin Diesel jokes, and that was the best, so we left that in.
Maybe that's the thing with
And
him.
do you notice Vin Diesel started crap on the
Of
weekend
course
of
he
Red
did.
Notice's release?
Of
Yeah.
course he did.
Come on, little brother.
Yeah.
With Dwayne.
with a picture that he superimposed himself to look bigger than The Rock.
Yeah, because he's got the Vin Diesel has a really weird like Twitter fan account that has like 10 million followers, but it's like an unofficial thing. But
Is it him?
it's just him. No, but it's like there's this fan account that started and it like took off because I found it a few months back when Fast and Furious was going, and I'm like, what is this? And it's this fan account full of these ridiculous photoshops that look like just these Pinterest creations, whatever. But like he then took over the account. So he has an
really?
account that's now verified. Maybe he doesn't run it, but like he's verified under it.
Yeah.
But if you go back, it's all this weird fan picture stuff that's photoshopped with like him and hearts and but it's
So
his like
weird.
official verified account. So anyway, I'm just saying, I think the same people probably still run it for him, and like that Photoshop was very reminiscent of the old like Vin Diesel with like the text around it,
Yeah,
the inspirational
right.
quotes. And all.
I just
Go find his Twitter, Vin Diesel fans or whatever it is, the verified account.
Yeah.
Scroll back through the photos and keep going, and it's really interesting what you'll find.
I wonder if Ryan Reynolds is better at like, hey Ryan, these are the lines of dialogue we need you to get, and then you can kind of do whatever you
And
need
then dress
to do.
it up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
rather
I'm sure
than
he does
rather,
that in every
rather than
movie.
being like.
And he
stick
was
to
like,
the script.
okay, as long as there's a scene where I get to drink aviation gin.
Correct.
Yes.
I thought the exact
Someone
same thing.
Someone tweeted, and it's so true. He goes, "Interesting. So Ryan Reynolds' character in Red Notice is a fan of Ryan Reynolds' gin company, Aviation Gin, and Dwayne Johnson's character is a fan of Dwayne Johnson's tequila company, Tiramisu or whatever it is." It's like, huh?
They call it tiramisu.
Well, I don't know. I can't remember his. I don't drink
It's
it.
a
so.
sweet dessert.
But Terramana or something. But
I did think the
but
same.
it's like, man.
As soon as he picked up that bottle, I was like, smooth.
Yeah.
I'm with,
So they
I'm
both
with
put
it.
their liquor companies in there. But it's like, how do they not? Like,
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds had a cricket phone. Or whatever
Oh,
whatever
Mint.
phone that he's Mint or whatever.
Cricket.
Mint Mobile.
He's playing Toon Bash or whatever that was called.
But that's the other interesting thing though, is that Hollywood has become like, it's not enough to just be a celebrity or
Totally.
an A-lister. Now you're a business person.
You have to have
Yeah.
that second stream of income.
And man, they
Or
have
third or
or
fourth.
yeah,
and with
right.
The Rock.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Energy drinks and tequila.
He has
and-
energy drinks?
Oh yeah.
He's
Oh.
rapping
Zoa?
now.
Man, that song is terrible.
What, the Tech Nine song?
Sure.
I thought
Is that
it was,
who it is?
He's on a verse of a Tech Nine song. It was
Woo!
better than I would have thought.
He rapped it at the premiere of Red Notice. Did you see that clip?
No,
I
That's
didn't.
pretty cool. Someone shouted out a lyric, and he was like, "Yeah," and then he just started doing it. I was like, "That's kind of cool."
It was way better than it had any right to be.
You imagine. I'm just thinking of like
I thought-
Hulk Hogan being like, "No, it's cool. I'm going to play bass."
I
on
think
this
it was
song."
Still better than Return of Bruno.
You know what? I think it was better than Idris Elba on that Hobbs and Shaw rap song.
Was there a Hobbs and Shaw rap song?
Yeah,
I barely remember that movie.
one where he raps about being the Black Superman.
Oh God, I honestly I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
remember that movie. I
Yeah.
remember that he was in it and he's like an enhanced person.
Yeah.
That's as far as I can get you.
So
But
anyway,
so it turns out like they end up catching Ryan Reynolds at his swanky estate or wherever the hell it was, like off the, they catch him, they get what they think is the egg back, or they get the egg back, and then they arrest him and go about their way.
but there's a
And
swapperoo.
There's a swap.
You see
There's a
Gal Gadot?
switcheroo. Yeah, you
Come
see
on.
like a person in SWAT gear who switches the eggs at the last possible second. Rock goes back to take a look.
It's
Of course,
still there.
it's still there. Go about their day. Rock is about to
Which-
leave.
In hindsight, that's a weird scene.
Well, once you find out the twist, yeah, like why would he even go back?
Because what's he checking for? First of all, maybe he's checking to make sure it looks perfect.
Or making sure that she's out of the way.
you know what? He's making sure that it doesn't look out of place.
I could see that.
Because he's like, there was a swap. This needs to look exactly like how he put it in here. Okay, that makes sense.
yeah, okay.
Because I'm like, he's not. He knows what's going to take place.
Yeah.
Anyway, spoilers.
he knows the plan.
He's in on it.
Yeah,
but,
right.
But I liked the way, not knowing that as an audience member at first, I liked that he gets in the truck and he just has a weird inkling, or it looks like that way, and that she does the swap so quickly. And
Oh no, the guy says the alarm, like they've got like a Tesla style screen on
Yeah.
in the truck. He's like, "Hey, the back door is open." He was like, "Oh, all right." And he goes
yeah.
back there.
Well, it
and
was like
looks.
open and closed or whatever. But
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, I better check on this, and it happens so quick, and then it's perfectly in place. And he's like, okay. I'm like, man, that was smooth of Gal Gadot. Like,
Right,
she pulled
right,
that
right,
off, But
So he's getting ready to leave, and then the Interpol gal comes up, and she was like, "Hey," and they have this interaction, and basically she accuses him of switching out the egg. Like she throws the fake egg on the ground, it shatters, and inside there's like a mark for the bishop, and that's this bishop character has been supplying information to The Rock to help him track down these thieves or
yeah,
whatever.
so she's like, I don't know you. You show up, and then this thing
I
gets
ran your
stolen.
name, and we can't find any information on you.
So you're going to be sticking around where I can keep tabs on you while
Right.
I look into this. So of course she
throws
puts him in
the,
jail.
the Russian gulag.
Yes, and they do a song. Danny Trejo's there, and Ray Liotta.
Great.
I love Muppets Most Wanted.
It is an underrated Muppet movie.
Yep.
It grows
I
on
agree.
me. When I saw it in theaters, and Tom and I were at the same screening, I enjoyed it, but I was like, oh, man, that first one was so good.
It just didn't live up to
Yeah.
to the previous one, which was like the second
Incredible.
best
Yeah.
Muppet movie.
So then, every time I watch Most Wanted, though, I love it more
Yeah.
and more and more. It's so good. But anyway, so they're thrown in there, and it's very much it's Hobbs and Shaw. It's the same idea,
Yeah.
right? Hobbs and Shaw, they get
That's
thrown
kinda where I
together. They
thought,
have to
right?
work together.
Well,
So,
that's the thing is I love like look, kid of the '80s, right? Like buddy cop, rated R comedies.
48 Hours.
That's where I'm at.
God, that
Lethal
movie
Weapon.
still holds up. Well,
a little bit.
Hold on.
doesn't hold up.
Yeah, we should.
But, like,
we should like sample that one piece.
Yeah.
And just let that
but that
run.
movie works.
Oh yeah,
and like
absolutely.
Nick Nolte is supposed to be a dick.
Supposed to be a
I mean,
dick.
that's kind of the whole point of the
Yes.
movie is that he's a racist dick,
Right.
and that
He's got to deal with Eddie Murphy.
and they still got to work together.
Right.
So like,
Tango and Cash. Like I like Silver Streak. I know that one probably is kind of like one of the underliers with Billy Crystal.
Gene
and-
Wilder.
No.
Silver Streak is on the train. It's Gene Wilder
what's-
and Richard Pryor. You're thinking of Running Scared.
That's what I'm thinking.
With
Yes.
Billy Crystal
Yeah, and Gregory Hines.
Gregory Hines.
Yes, and Jimmy
Yeah.
Smits.
Yes,
is the
but
bad
no,
guy.
that's a good movie.
Yeah.
Even though they lean way too much on
What?
the Michael McDonald songs for the soundtrack.
what's that movie? Is it Money Talks? What's the
So there's the Chris Tucker, Charlie Sheen one. That's Money Talks.
what's the one with Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson?
Money Train?
That's Money
and
Train.
White Men Can't
And
Jump.
White Men Can't Jump.
Yeah, but
Money Train is the other one.
Money,
yeah.
yeah.
I gotta tell you though, Money Talks also a good
But
movie.
Money Talks is Charlie Sheen.
yeah, that's Charlie Sheen like trying to figure it out.
Bulletproof.
Bulletproof's great.
There
Did
you
you
go.
know that there's a Bulletproof 2
No.
Starring who?
starring no one you've ever heard of? But they're supposed to be the same characters,
Weird
but
name.
25. They made it like recently. It's like
Oh, really?
25 years later. It's and
Last Boy Scout.
Oh,
Yeah.
Last Boy
Well,
Scout is
yeah,
awesome.
Last-
Shane Black, baby.
Last Boy Scout is
Yeah,
great.
That's so good. But yeah, so like I love Buddy. They gotta be rated R though. Like that's kind of the like Rush
Is this
Hour.
rated R?
No.
Oh.
No, this is PG-13.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it mattered for like it's Netflix. So
Yeah, but no, it is
okay.
PG-13. There's one F-bomb.
It's
There's one that they allude to, but one where they actually say
drop it.
Okay.
Yeah. And like Rush Hour works at PG-13
I was just about to
because
say, I was
like
thinking
those
Rush
guys
Hour.
work.
Yeah.
But so like that's my jam. Like I love that stuff. And so maybe you're right. Maybe my expectations were a little too high because I was like Ryan Reynolds and The Rock playing off each other. We liked them in Hobbs and Shaw. This should work. And for whatever reason, okay.
Yeah.
So they get to the gulag, and of course he is put in the cell with Ryan Reynolds. And now
Well, they
they
call
have
him
to-
in to see the chief or whatever there, and then the chair spins around. It's Gal Gadot as the bishop, and she's like, "Yeah, so
That's
you
a good line where he's like, "It's the bishop." He's like, "Oh, I had no idea."
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
So the deal is that they're all hunted. Well, we find out they all are, but the thieves are trying to hunt down these eggs because there is a rich guy that is offering $300 million
It's a lot of money.
to give them to his daughter, who he also named Cleopatra, and he wants to give them as a wedding gift. And so they're trying to track them down, or Ryan Reynolds is at least, and The Rock is supposedly trying to stop him, and the bishop also wants to get the money. So doesn't she offer at one point, she's like, tell me where they are and I'll give you 10% or something?
And he was like, "No, thank
He's
you."
like, yeah,
right.
no, you need me. So they know where two are. They've got the one. The other one is at this rich private collector's house.
Who was that? What was that guy's name from?
Chris Diamantopoulos?
Yeah, but who was he in?
I thought he was awful in this movie.
So
Whatever he was doing.
It's terrible.
No.
In Silicon Valley. Remember, he was like the billionaire that put his like vodka bottle on the delete key.
Yeah.
That deleted all of like half of Pornhub's like porn off
Yeah.
of the library completely. Yeah.
But I did not like what he was doing in this movie.
No, it was
As
terrible.
much as, it was fine, but this weird accent thing was just not working.
Yeah, no, it's not working.
But anyway, so they need the third one, though, and Ryan Reynolds, through this backstory that he gives throughout the movie, like his dad was a famous thief.
He was like
and-
his dad was like a Swiss policeman.
Oh, okay.
The Rock's dad was the con man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So his dad was a policeman, and he left him this watch, and the watch had coordinates for where this third egg was. And later on, we find that it actually unlocks. It's the key to getting to the third egg.
Is that a thing? Like when
What?
they get to that, like the idea of like a Nazi bunker in the like.
Well, the Nazis stole a lot of artwork.
Right.
Like, I mean, that's a real thing.
Sure.
There's actually a movie about that called Monuments Men. which was
Oh, yeah,
okay,
with
but it was
Nick
George
Cage?
Clooney and Bill
No,
Murray.
You're thinking of National
Matchstick
Treasure.
Man. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
But that's based on a true story. But the Nazis stole a lot of artwork.
Sure.
And and a lot of time, and honestly, in today's world, there's a lot of people that aren't really happy about museums because most museums are in the Western world housing the artifacts of other countries. So they're like a lot of people now look back at a character like Indiana Jones and say, well, he was stealing
Cultural appropriation.
He was stealing these countries' artifacts.
Yeah.
Now it's a difficult line to walk because also a lot of those countries at the time, like there was no one there to preserve them. So if people like that, I mean, I know Indiana Jones isn't a real guy, just archaeologists. in
People
general.
like Dr. Jones,
Right.
The good Dr. Jones.
But if the Western world, if the white world hadn't been taking those things, there's a
Could've been
good
lost
chance they'd
forever.
have been lost to time. But like maybe they should be returned at this point.
and they
I don't
are
know.
starting to do that.
Are they?
They are.
They
yeah.
are, yeah.
And I also think you kind of see that somewhat in the way this movie ends. That like,
Right.
Oh,
that,
sure.
Like they get what they want out of the egg, but the egg still kind of ends up where it should be.
Right.
Right.
Which
Right,
I thought
right.
was a nice little subtle touch.
Yeah. So they have to work together, basically. He's like, well, I'm not telling you where this is. Like, I'm the only one that knows this. She's like, okay, well, you guys can just stay in this prison then. And then
she's like, I'll figure it
and
out.
the offer's going to go down half. You're going to stay here and deal with the consequences, and then I'm going to come back and ask you again. And
Right. So they get out of in a pretty big sequence.
Good
They break.
escape
Yeah,
sequence.
it wasn't bad. We did see them earlier, like they were plugging up a wall, and then Ryan Reynolds just
I
happens
thought
to
that was
put-
really clever.
And that's the thing is, like, I
Rock's
do
like,
like
you gonna help me here? And he's like, all right. And he takes this little rock,
One
but
little
it's,
piece.
but it's on purpose.
Yeah.
I thought the movie, again, that's one of those more clever than
Yeah.
I expected to at all. Where then when they went back to that wall to escape, I'm like, I know exactly what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
pulls the one piece out, and the
Pulls-
entire
he-
thing
yeah.
falls. But they do say that Ryan Reynolds, that character, has escaped, like every single time he's captured.
And I did like there's so many little lines where when they're in the car escaping from the Nazis or using the Nazi car to escape.
Yeah.
And he's like no, let's just get caught and we'll escape. We'll escape.
I'll
Like,
escape.
I do it all the
Yeah,
time. Like
right,
this
right.
isn't.
Yeah.
We don't need to take
Yeah.
these kind of risks. Although there's no way that car would have started.
No way.
Like, and that's going back to Eternals too. Like when the movie, when you don't expect more of the movie, it's just like, well, of course. As soon as they showed the car, I'm like, of course it's going to
That's gonna-
start.
right.
There's no reason it should start.
All of
Like,
those little other cars shouldn't have started either.
even if mechanically it still was functional, which is highly unlikely.
Right.
The tires would have dry rotted.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we
You
see
know,
that. It's funny that they don't. Well, we see that all the time in these movies, right?
Yeah.
Like even in
Well,
Back
it's
to the
like-
Future, where they're just like, we have to the tires on the DeLorean rotted away, so they have to put train tracks.
Well, they say
on.
acknowledge it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
right. That's what I'm
like-
saying.
Yeah.
Well, it's like going to a museum and stealing a World War II jet, and it's fully fueled and ready to take off.
Yes.
And has guns on it or whatever. It's like, why would that be? No,
Man, I hate that movie.
I know
It's so.
But
That's
this
so
movie
bonkers.
establishes that they're like, of just like, yeah, that's not what we're here to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I
they
mean?
they
Like, they're
definitely
just like,
don't.
no,
We're
that's
not
not-
trying
And
to be a
that's what I
super
mean.
smart.
Some movies are just like, I don't want to use it as a bad term, but when people say content, it's like some movies, it's not that bad to just kick back and watch an entertaining movie where you don't have to think. That's why they say check your mind. You're not supposed to be thinking, and once you set that up and establish that you're not supposed to be thinking too hard,
Right.
and then this movie actually does pull off some clever things where you're like, you
Yeah.
don't see them coming because you're not thinking.
But this movie establishes that it's in this kind of
comic booky.
goofy world where like
Yeah.
the rules are only kind of sort of being applied, and like
Yeah.
that's what
Exactly.
we're in for. Like it's
Play by your rules you establish.
if that happens in a James Bond movie, you're like, wait,
Yeah.
like because those are a little bit more grounded.
Is
and
this
so-
a Roger Moore James Bond
Right.
movie, or what are
Yeah.
we doing?
And that's why Fast and Furious was so weird for a while, because it was a car racing movie.
right?
And when they became superheroes, it was like, well, that's dumb. Why is that?
What
but
a
then
weird pivot.
But
I'm
then
like,
when they
oh.
embraced it, then we were like, no, go more superhero, because if you're gonna be superheroes, just be superheroes.
Just own it.
And they did, and that's why they came back around to being better, because in the middle there, it was like, what are we
not
doing?
Good. It's not good.
And then The Rock comes on board and I think saves the franchise,
I would
and
agree
then
with that.
sets it up to be superhero movies, and then now they're running with it. So anyway, but they get away, and
Yes.
now they've got to go get
they're-
the other egg.
They're
from
going
this.
to infiltrate this party to get the second egg, And they have this plan, and it works for the most part. They get into the vault using like deep fake,
and I like this stuff. They're using deep fake for
I thought
the
that was
facial
totally
recognition.
Never
They're
seen an iPad with a screen on both sides.
Neither have I. That's a new
but-
one for me.
But well, I mean, I've got a phone with a screen on both sides, so I mean, it can happen.
I do like the when they break the glass with the fingerprint on it, he just happens to find the one shard that's got like the exact.
But I like that stuff. See, so like
I'm
that's the
okay
thing:
with-
facial recognition, deep fakes, fingerprints on glasses. We're getting into that spy territory.
Right.
It's just fun and switching this and distracting the guy so you can go do this and break in. I don't know. I really like all that heist element, and I thought this whole sequence was really fun. Aside from the Diamopolis,
Man, I don't know
accent.
I don't know what
it
he was
just
doing.
weird because he talked to him when they talked to him in person. He sounded like kind of like smarmy bad guy.
Right.
And then when he gives this speech,
He's
I'm
got
like,
this, I don't
what
even know
is-
where that accent.
I don't know, but I was like,
Hey,
what
can
is-
you take 3 like I don't know Central American accents and just throw them all together and see what happens?
I wish when I was
Can
watching
I?
with Katie, he reminded me of someone, and now of course I can't remember who it was, but I'm like, what is he doing? But anyway, aside from that, I thought the sequence was really good. Gal Gadot shows up,
Yeah,
much
so-
like Wonder Woman.
much like
Yeah,
Wonder Woman.
beautiful
She has
dress.
a beautiful dress.
Yeah.
Man, that's interesting. I wonder if they'll ever cross them over. They probably will.
Which one?
Wonder Woman and Black Adam.
Oh, well, yeah.
Right?
I guess
Like,
that's interesting.
they're
They can both
they're
exist
kind
in
of
the same.
They're in
yeah.
the Greek like pantheon.
And I'm sure
right?
Deadpool will somehow.
They'll find
Ryan
a way to
Reynolds
get-
will figure out.
He's
how
the
to
Green
Get,
Lantern.
well, we don't really talk about that.
Neither does he, so that's
Yeah.
fine.
Well, he's also. Well, I guess he's Deadpool twice.
I guess that's true.
Two versions, two different universes.
Be
of
interested to see
Deadpool.
how that works. So they again Gal Gadot. We find out that she actually struck a deal with the bad guy, and she paid him for the egg. She takes the egg,
But it's a double triple.
but it's
cross.
a double triple cross, and they get captured. Our two heroes get captured. And this is I liked this scene. I think this
She's
scene
like,
is
I told you they'd be here.
Right.
And then
so they've got them strung up. They
good fights. I mean, I thought it was pretty good.
It wasn't
fight
bad.
sequence.
Yeah, I thought this was this was better than the. I thought this one was better than the last one, than the gulag scene.
Gal Gadot's doing some good ass kicking.
Yeah, she should just stick like this is her lane. Like I don't think she's the
Can
greatest.
you say that?
I don't what. The like action movies are where she
Just
her
telling her to
strengths
stay
lie?
in her lane.
No, that's not what I. Yeah,
See, this is her strong suit.
yeah. This is where she thrives. I guess. I don't think she's the greatest actress in the world, right? But for whatever reason, she worked in Wonder Woman. Like that was
I think Wonder Woman's the best thing she's ever done.
easily.
Yes.
Easily.
I mean,
Wonder
drama-
Woman,
like
not
her
Wonder
acting,
Woman 84.
Yeah, her acting in Wonder Woman is good. Her dramatic
The fish out
performances
of
are good.
water and like
Yeah, I don't know. She's never been in anything as good as Wonder Woman.
No.
And I mean, as Giselle, she was fine as a side character, but I mean, Wonder
barely
Woman
in
hit.
that. What was
and-
the one with John Hamm? What was that one? Were they like the spies next door or whatever?
Oh, I don't. Yeah, that didn't.
Yeah,
that
all right.
definitely wasn't it. But I keep waiting for her to do something as good as that because she clearly was so good in that, and I don't know. She hasn't recaptured it yet.
No.
But she's really good in the action stuff.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So they have Ryan Reynolds and The Rock like strung up, and they're saying, "Give me the information." He's like, "No, I'm not going to do it." She's like, "Cool, I'm going to electrocute your friend." He was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
I don't care." And so of course she hits him with the car battery in the chest, and he was just like, "Yeah, that sucks." Just keep going. She's like, "I guess I'm going downstairs," and he was like, "Guess so." And she lights his balls.
I did
on.
like that dynamic of I'm going to torture your friend. He's like, I don't care about
Yeah.
this guy.
And I guess finally it gets a little too much, and he says, "Fine, it's in a pyramid in Egypt. It's no big deal."
I thought he was going to tell the watch story from Pulp Fiction.
Well, they do kind of make that reference.
I know,
right?
because
Like-
when they're saying it though, at first I'm like, is he going to say that his dad smuggled this thing out of?
No, but they
Yeah.
do like. I do
Yeah,
like
I
that,
know.
that they reference that.
Because clearly it's like there was some kind of it just felt like it when he was
Yeah. So during this, now they try to get away, and I guess this is the other double cross where Gal Gadot kills or poisons the bad guy, and he's just firing wildly into the air. And this was the scene where I was like, oh god, like The Rock snaps the cuff off, and I wanted Ryan Reynolds to be like, could you have done that the entire time? Like, or what happened? He's like, a bullet hit it. And he was like, all right, and just accepts the fact that that's a thing that happened. And they get away, right? And
But it
now-
also works for the audience
that's-
because it's just dumb action movie logic, right?
yes,
like
you
how
know,
many times have you seen something like
seen
that?
Arnold
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger like bend a a piece of metal
or a bullet hit
or a
it.
bullet, yeah, right.
Like
and just,
either thing is dumb and
But-
either thing is totally plausible in a movie like
But
this.
I like it better this way though, because it is super stupid no matter what when you break it with your strength, because that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
yes,
So to say a bullet hit it, that's I think a clever way. To
It's more clever
It
than
looks
being
like
like,
a
I
stupid
can-
thing, but then it's like, well, it hit it perfectly. And
Right.
yeah, it's more clever than I flexed
Yeah.
and I snapped a pair of handcuffs.
Do you remember when The Rock flexed out of a cast and then
Sure
fired a
do.
machine gun at a helicopter? Do you remember when he pulled the helicopter down with a chain?
Yep.
Isn't it weird that we're just like, but like, there's that scene in, is it Civil War or Captain America
Yes.
2?
There are
those
actual
are
superhero
superheroes.
movies.
No, right, that's
and
what
then
I'm
there
saying, is
are
like-
movies that just
Like
decided
that-
they're going to be.
That's a
super.
guy who we know is like an enhanced super soldier.
That's what we're
Who's
saying.
pulling down a helicopter.
But that's what I
and then
mean is
there's
they
The
decided
Rock
they're like,
who's-
well, we're going to be superhero movies
Right.
too. And once they embraced it, it was so much more fun than
those are bad movies.
Which ones?
Those
Yeah.
up at like 5 is good. I enjoy 5
Yeah.
because they don't go full superhero. By the time we get to 6, they're bad.
But they started to come back once they embraced it, though. I think when they got to the later ones, and I know that last one was not great, but I think when they got to like 8, it was like, okay, that's what we're doing. Like it took a couple to figure out, like, oh, they're superhero movies now,
Yeah.
and 9 just ended up being so bad that
And
it
now they're
didn't
going to
matter.
space, just like Jason.
They've been to space.
I didn't see the last one, so I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wasn't
No,
there.
they
was,
ended up
That was
in
Matt
space.
Basler coming in a
They
in a
took
clutch.
a car to space. It was
Okie
bad.
dokie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is where Ryan Reynolds tells The Rock, he's like, "Look, it's not in Egypt." Like he tells him the story about the watch, and then he got pissed at his dad because all he cared about was this stupid watch. Smashes the watch, and inside of it are longitude and latitude coordinates for something, for a bunker, for this bunker. So they're traipsing through the jungle.
but he put the watch back together.
Correct. Yeah. Which
That's
I was
good.
like, that's impressive because
It's
that's
good.
not easy.
That's a good thing he did, right?
Right. So they're traipsing through the jungle, and of course they are not getting along at this point. We should also say that this entire time Interpol is on their ass.
Yeah,
That's what Red
oh,
Notice means.
That's correct. Red Notice is like the
they
highest
tell you
level
like
of,
a dictionary definition in the movie because when you hear the title of the movie, like, what is this? It's a Russian thing.
It's a bad title.
It's
yeah.
not a good title. It's
really,
like
you think Russian, right? When you see
Yeah.
her Red Notice, it sounds like
the
Red
Rock
Dawn.
that's
Red-
happened to
it's-
him before, right? Like that. The Rundown was supposed to be called Heldorado, which is a much
What?
better name.
Yeah, the original title for the Rundown was Heldorado, which is a much better title than the
Yeah.
Rundown. So they're in this jungle and they're arguing, and of course, I think they drop something, and it
Well, because The Rock has it in his contract, he's got to be in a jungle.
it's got
That's
to.
just
That's the way it works.
Yeah.
he can film 5 movies at once. So
That's right. Let's see. We've got Jungle Cruise, we've got Jumanji, and Jumanji 2, and Red Notice. Can we just do this all right here, please?
he's always in a jungle.
Always in the jungle. Wait till he's in the new Predator movie.
Yeah,
That teaser poster did look kind of cool. If you haven't seen it,
is that the Hulu one? Prey.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the first time they come to Earth, so it's like Native Americans, I think.
Oh, cool.
Or you
Yeah.
can't say that, can you?
Yeah, you can still
That's
say
what.
Oh,
That's
that
the
one's
one.
okay? Okay.
Well, yeah.
Well, I guess if it's a long time ago, they wouldn't be Native Americans
Indigenous.
because there's no in America.
Yes, that's true.
So
yeah,
it's
right, right,
indigenous
right.
indigenous
people.
people. I
Either
guess,
way,
yeah.
it's the first time they come to Earth. It looked pretty cool. So they drop something and it pings on like a piece of metal, right? So they scurry and they open it up, and of course there's the Nazi eagle, and they climb down into this thing, and they find that there's another safe that just happens to need like the watch from Pulp Fiction. Like that's what this is. They put it into the little lock, unlocks it. There is the warehouse from Indiana Jones. Like it's got all of this different stuff. I do love the line.
the Nazi version.
The
of that
Nazi
warehouse.
version of that's right.
Oh, is it this far in the movie? I
Yeah,
thought
this
they
is
went
where he
to-
says
oh,
it.
okay.
This is like they're walking through, and he was like,
Okay.
"Oh, we're looking for this MacGuffin." I was
Gotcha.
like, "Nah, that was a good line. Like
Yeah,
that's
he's
definitely
like,
an
it's in
ad
the
lib."
it's in the crate marked MacGuffin.
Yeah, right,
Some people
right.
didn't like it where they're like, stop telling me that we're watching a movie. We know we're watching a movie. You know what I mean? Like some people are actually like, I kind of appreciate the meta stuff because we've seen it so much in movies. But then there's other people who are like, I just want
Oh,
to
I
watch
think
a
it's
movie
fine.
without the actors telling the characters.
I mean,
telling
I
us
think
we're in a
movies
movie.
can lean on it too much.
Yeah.
Like it's because it can be a
Too
lazy
winky,
joke, but
yeah.
like also Ryan Reynolds is really good at just kind of throwing away a joke.
Yeah.
and so it wasn't done in a way that Yeah.
And there's something endearing about Ryan Reynolds, right? Like he's charismatic naturally, and so when he does this stuff, it's hard
You just
not to
accept it and just roll with it.
he's so good at it. It is him because he is. I mean, Ryan Reynolds plays Ryan Reynolds in every movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
now there was.
Yeah, there was a
feel
time.
like once he kind of figured out that like I don't have to be this other thing to succeed. I'll just be me, and that will
Where do you
work.
think that was?
Like, where do I think he made that shift?
Deadpool.
Yeah.
Deadpool.
Deadpool is the one. That
I think
really,
Deadpool is the one where he was just, like when he got his second shot at it,
Yeah.
not the first one.
Oh
Obviously,
yeah, right.
But I think that where he was just like, no, we're swinging for the fences. This is what I do. I'm good at this. I'm just going to. I'm going to. You're going to freebase Ryan Reynolds' personality in this movie, and if it doesn't work, then at least I'll know. And I think that's really hard to do when you're starting out.
It's
You
interesting
know?
because I think of like Two Guys, a Girl, in a Pizza Place,
Mhm.
which is a really good show. Like he's very funny on it. And
I mean, Van Wilder.
and
where,
Waiting are like the two that I remember.
which he's Ryan Reynolds in those. See,
Yeah.
but he didn't want to be typecast. That's when he started to do stuff like
Definitely-
Buried and
Definitely
Safe
Maybe.
House and. Oh
that-
yeah, I mean that is a departure from that
Just
stuff. But
Friends
he was
and-
trying to do all sorts of different stuff because he didn't want to be just that. But
Sure.
you look back and you're like, yeah, he was really good at that. Like Van Wilder put him on the map.
Somebody just
and-
said maybe it was Jeff Wildman
That's
who
him.
posts in the group all the time. He's like, I kind of miss those like early to mid 2000 rated R comedies that you would never be able to make today. Like there's that scene in Van Wilder with the cannolis. It's just like a thing you'd never. There's no
You
way
just-
that doesn't get past like.
Well, and someone
anybody.
posted a poster, 30th anniversary of Porky's. I mean, you just can't ever make
no
yeah.
way,
No way.
no way.
So I mean, it's
Even
so-
American Pie,
Yeah.
American Pie, you couldn't get
Yeah.
away with.
You
today.
just can't. It was a different time, and it's just weird to look back at all the stuff that used to be acceptable, and it's like you do have to put it in context. I was trying to tell someone this the other day about a movie. It's like you have to understand these weren't movies that were like purposefully trying to be hurtful or anything.
Right.
It was a different time. You have to look at the context of comedy and what was acceptable and just the way the world was. And it doesn't always make it right, but it also doesn't make it like malicious. It's just things were different.
Yeah.
And so I always try to look at those things in context.
Yeah,
I'm always relieved that like I like Abbott and Costello movies. There are almost no black people in Abbott and Costello movies, and honestly,
Oh, really?
I'm thankful for that because
Oh,
what would,
sure.
what would the role of a black man in a 1940s Abbott and Costello movie have been?
A waiter.
It would not have been pretty.
No.
Like there's one scene I think in Buck Privates where they're getting on a train and all the Pullman people, they called them Pullman. I think it's Pullmans, but that was the train people and the porters on the trains that were like always black,
Right.
And like I mean, he talks like you would think a black guy in a 1940s movie would talk, but like they don't really do anything offensive with him other than how he comports himself.
Sure.
But it's like you look back on those old movies and when there aren't black people in them, you're like, good. Like I'm not trying
Thank
to.
you, I guess.
Not trying to put a black guy out of work from 80 years ago, but I'm also glad that like I don't have to
can't-
like
you can't-
cringe for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, you can't cancel.
Then it would be
Abbott and
canceled,
Costello,
yeah.
Anthony
Yeah.
Frankenstein, right? Yeah. So they walk in, and I do like this where like he lifts up a box, and it just says, "You like." Oh, it says like what is it? Cleopatra egg, and he was like, "Huh." Nazis in their labels. That's great. And they find the egg, and of course, this is where Gal Gadot shows up, and now Interpol shows up, and it's this big fight, like this big chase sequence where they get into the old timey Nazi Buick or BMW, which I think is like Ryan Reynolds is way into it, and of course, it immediately gets shot up, and he's like, "Oh God!" So they drive it out of there, and they think they get like it's the whole big thing. Then they think they get away, and at the last possible second. Here's the reveal is that Gal Gadot and The Rock have been working together this entire time. Everything we've seen.
Well,
of
that's
them
after
inter-
Ryan Reynolds goes back for The Rock. He gets the egg.
That is-
He's about to escape, and
He
The
puts
Rock's
the
not
egg in the
there.
ground.
And he puts it down, and he tries to go rescue him. He dives into the water, and The Rock just walks out from the side. He's like, "Were you left this to come save me?"
No.
I didn't. He's like, "You did. You tried to save me."
Yeah. And like, yes, you're right. And then this is where she walks out, and this is the reveal is that they've been working together the entire
They
time.
kiss, and he's like, "What?"
Yeah, and this is where we get the F-bomb, your one obligatory F-bomb for a PG-13 movie.
So the bishop is two people.
Correct. And I do like that line. It's not a bad line where he's like, there's two bishops in chess.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
all right, that's fine.
So
And
the-
this is the part that I liked.
What's that?
like their interactions together. This felt the most natural out of this entire movie. The three of them on this beach for whatever reason. I don't know if it was just
they've just been on vacation on this whole time together.
Yeah, right.
Drinking their tequila and their
Their
gin, having a good time,
talking on their Mint Mobile cell
Their
phones.
Mint Mobile phones. Do you
But
think
like-
$7 Productions uses Mint Mobile?
I'm sure they do.
And all the catering uses aviation. Gin?
Yes, correct. But for whatever reason, like this part was
Yeah.
clicking for me. Like I was,
It was great. But they basically they put Ryan Reynolds in his place. They're like, well, we're gonna take this now, and you're
See ya.
gonna But I like this too, where it's like not so fast, and so
Right.
you flash forward to the wedding scene.
and they get the money, and they're both.
I love the
like,
payoff in the wedding that like the daughter doesn't even
give
care.
a crap.
It was
Like-
very funny. It's
Yeah.
so truthful to parents, to where you put all this work into something. He spends $300 million. They track down these eggs. He gives them to her on the wedding, and she's like, "Oh!" And then for 1 second,
Ed
then
Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran's here, and runs away
Yeah.
from the $300 million priceless Cleopatra eggs.
Right.
But then Interpol swoops in.
and takes the eggs back,
Yeah.
and they arrest the dad, and The Rock and Gal Gadot are like, "All right, we're gonna peace out of here," and they get on a boat, and everything's going great, and they're enjoying their, this was kind of, I got the feeling that this was it. This was their one big job. They got this massive payday. They're gonna call it a day, and of course, and then here comes Ryan Reynolds, up out of the.
You think they got him, but then he's like, "Well,
Right, and this part is working where he's like this cheese tastes funny, and she's like, that's raw pork. He's like, blah, blah, blah.
So he has all their assets frozen. He tells Interpol about what
The
they
secret
did,
account, all
and
that
then
stuff.
so he froze all their assets, and
And he's like, basically, either you help me on this big job. It's a 3 thief job. There's 3 of us. Let's do. There was a part where, like, I forgot to mention this, where Ryan Reynolds has like this buddy on a jet, and I was like, well, it's going to be Kevin Hart.
oh, like
That's
they're
who,
always
that's who it's going to be. Like, they're always
He's the
together.
through line,
yeah.
yeah.
And then of course it's not. I was like, interesting. I did not see that coming at all. But yeah, so he's like, it's a 3-man job where there's 3 of us, and if you do this, like, does he say I'll release the funds, or like
I
we'll
don't
make
think
enough
so.
money to make it?
Well, he's like, if you don't do this, Interpol's on their way.
Oh,
and
that's right,
If you
that's
help
right.
me, you can escape on this dinghy or whatever with me.
Stop playing with your dinghy.
So, so you see, Interpol shows up, and they've already
left.
scooted
And
for the
now
next adventure.
all 3 of them are walking to the Louvre. Is that what that was?
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
at the Louvre.
There we go. And that's how it ends. Yeah, for whatever reason, like the first 3/4 of this, like, just wasn't working for me. And then when we got to the end, I was like, they felt more relaxed. Like, maybe because The Rock wasn't doing that, like, character. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't the FBI agent anymore. He was the thief, I guess. But yeah,
He conned you. He was so good.
He was so
that
good.
You were just like, I don't like this.
He
Whatever.
was
It
so
a
good at
con.
being the whole time. Good job, Rock. And then we're obviously they want to do a second one,
Yeah.
and
Clearly.
I guess they will. I don't know.
I think so. I mean,
I
the
think
way
so.
What else spends and it's getting views?
And
what
if
else
it's-
is their goal?
If it's getting the views that they
Yeah.
want, I don't know why they wouldn't.
They get
I
the
guess
biggest
that's true,
stars in
yeah.
the world.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like there will be, but I still like they need to make this. They need to do the next one a team up with Hudson Hawk.
Oh my god,
That would be
If
great.
I
People
thought-
would lose their.
if I thought
they-
for a second that Bruce Willis could pull off Hudson Hawk again, I would be on board.
He might
with you.
actually
They'll
do
just-
something not for the paycheck.
They'll just deep fake him. They'll just have him.
him and Danny Aiello.
Probably be a
We'll
better
both,
performance.
Yeah,
That's what I mean, yeah.
that would be
He's like,
great.
you can use my likeness. Just
Yeah.
deep fake.
That would be fantastic. Oh man, that movie.
Yeah.
He did that for a phone commercial, a Russian phone commercial.
He did Hudson Hawk for a Russian phone
No,
commercial.
he did John McClane basically for a Russian phone commercial, and he just let them deep fake his face.
No, are you serious?
Yeah, he didn't even want to do the commercial. It's a Russian actor deep faked, with Bruce Willis.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
That's the point his career's gotten to,
Yeah.
where he's just
I gotta
like,
tell
you're
you.
gonna pay me, use my face.
You were at the Kevin Smith thing, right?
Yeah,
Hearing him, like, watching him talk about Cop Out,
yeah,
man, that is hard to listen to.
yeah,
It's a shame because on paper that should have been a really
Should've
good
worked.
movie.
yeah.
Should have
Shoulda
worked.
worked,
Which,
so.
after sitting through that doc and then listening to him, a lot of things should have worked. Because he was told, they're like, yeah, this will be your first $100 million picture, and he heard it like 3 times in a row.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
they never were. Golly.
Well, anyway, I guess that's it for this one. Let's go around the table and everyone can say where to find them.
This is Joe. You can follow me on the Twitter at JoeyButts, BUTTS21.
This is Kevin. You can follow me on Twitter at KevinRBrackett. And also, I was a guest on the In Session Film podcast where I talked about Eternals again. So if you want to hear that from, on a different show and get into that more. And I wasn't alone on that one. So that was a little more fun to talk about.
For you.
Right.
Yeah. And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. Find the show online at facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group. And, of course, don't forget to check out our Patreon. So that's it for this one. I guess next week we will be tackling Ghostbusters.
Oh, yes.
Hard to tackle ghosts.
But yet they do it.
So excited.
Yeah.
So thanks for tuning in. And until next time, Alfred gets decapitated.
Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, 'cause we already warned you.